News spread quickly across Trivara. By the time the sun set behind the tall silver mountains, everyone had heard the unbelievable story. A human walked into the cage of a Nevrax and survived. Some even whispered he had petted the creature. Others said the beast had bowed its head to him like a harmless pet. The council chamber was loud that night. The elders, nobles, generals, and scientists all gathered around a long, glowing table. The air was thick with arguments. "This is unacceptable," shouted General Kervax, slamming his metal fist on the table. "That creature is a danger to our world." A scientist raised her hands nervously, but the human touched it. It did not attack. "That means nothing," the general growled. "Humans are reckless. They lack fear." Maybe the beast was simply waiting for the right moment to strike. A noblewoman shook her head. Or maybe we made a terrible mistake from the beginning. The room fell silent. Everyone looked at her. She was Lady Vera, known for her calm voice and careful judgment. She gestured for the guards to bring the surveillance footage. A large screen lit up. The council members watched as the human, Elias, knelt inside the cage and fed the trembling beast. They saw the creature lean gently into his touch. For a moment, even the toughest warriors were quiet. General Kervax broke the silence. "We cannot be fooled by this. The Nevrax is responsible for the attack on our border guards." Lady Vera raised an eyebrow. "Show the recording of the incident." Another screen activated. The video showed 3 alien guards approaching a forest clearing. The Nevrax stood there, smaller at the time, with a bleeding leg. It limped toward them, not aggressively but fearfully, like it was hurt and seeking help. Then one of the guards panicked and fired a stun shot. The creature roared in pain. Another guard fired again. The beast, cornered and terrified, lashed out. 2 guards fell. A third ran, screaming for backup. The footage ended. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Lady Vera folded her arms. It attacked in self-defense. General Kervax looked shaken but still stubborn. "Even so, it is too powerful. If it ever escapes again, it could destroy an entire village." A council elder, old and wise, finally spoke. "We must speak with the human. He sees something we do not." Meanwhile, Elias sat inside a holding room. He had been separated from the Nevrax after the incident. The creature had cried when they pulled Elias away, a deep, mournful sound that echoed through the plaza. Soldiers were too afraid to approach it again, so they used electric barriers to guide it back into a stronger cage. Now Elias waited, tapping his foot. After almost an hour, 3 council elders entered the room. "Human," the lead elder said, "your actions today have caused great concern." Elias crossed his arms. "I didn't do anything wrong. You approached a dangerous creature, entered its cage without permission, and interfered with a legal execution. Because you were going to kill something that wasn't dangerous," Elias said. "It was scared, not violent." The elders exchanged glances. One of them asked, "Why did it trust you?" Elias shrugged. "Maybe because I didn't point a weapon at it." They stared at him. The logic was simple, embarrassingly simple. "We call it a Nevrax," the elder said. "It is considered one of the most dangerous species on our planet." "Then you've never tried being kind to one," Elias replied calmly. The elders looked uncomfortable. Most aliens on Trivara rarely spoke to them so boldly. The eldest elder asked, "What do you believe we should do with the creature?" Elias took a deep breath. He knew his answer would shock them. "Let me take care of it." The 3 elders almost fell over. "What? Impossible. Absurd." Elias raised his hands. "Look, it trusts me. You saw it. You saw the way it acted. It needs someone who isn't afraid of it." The elders began to argue among themselves, but Elias continued. "You're scared of what it could do. I get that. But fear isn't a reason to kill something." The elders fell silent again. His words carried more weight than they expected. Back in the council chamber, more whispers spread. Some agreed with Elias. Others believed he was insane. The generals argued for execution. The scientists argued for study. The nobles argued about public safety. Finally, the Grand Elder raised his staff. "The human's actions have shown us a side of the creature we have never seen," he said. "But even so, the Nevrax is unpredictable. We cannot simply release it." General Kervax smirked. He thought victory was his. But the Grand Elder continued. "Therefore, we must determine the truth. We will allow the human to interact with the creature again." Gasps filled the room. Lady Vera nodded slowly. "Yes. If the human can calm it twice, then the creature may not be the monster we believed." General Kervax slammed his fist down again. "And if he fails?" The Grand Elder's voice grew cold. "Then the human will be proven wrong, and the execution will proceed." Elias did not know it yet, but the fate of the Nevrax now rested entirely on him. And soon, he would return to the cage, under the watch of the entire city. News spread quickly across Trivra. By the time the sun set behind the tall silver mountains, everyone had heard the unbelievable story. A human walked into the cage of a Nevrax and survived. Some even whispered he had petted the creature. Others said the beast had bowed its head to him like a harmless pet. The council chamber was loud that night. The elders, nobles, generals, and scientists all gathered around a long, glowing table. The air was thick with arguments. "This is unacceptable," shouted General Kervax, slamming his metal fist on the table. "That creature is a danger to our world." A scientist raised her hands nervously. But the human touched it. It did not attack. "That means nothing," the general growled. "Humans are reckless. They lack fear. Maybe the beast was simply waiting for the right moment to strike." A noblewoman shook her head. "Or maybe we made a terrible mistake from the beginning." The room fell silent. Everyone looked at her. She was Lady Vera, known for her calm voice and careful judgment. She gestured for the guards to bring the surveillance footage. A large screen lit up. The council members watched as the human, Elias, knelt inside the cage and fed the trembling beast. They saw the creature lean gently into his touch. For a moment, even the toughest warriors were quiet. General Kervax broke the silence. "We cannot be fooled by this. The Nevrax is responsible for the attack on our border guards." Lady Vera raised an eyebrow. "Show the recording of the incident." Another screen activated. The video showed 3 alien guards approaching a forest clearing. The Nevrax stood there, smaller at the time, with a bleeding leg. It limped toward them, not aggressively, but fearfully, like it was hurt and seeking help. Then one of the guards panicked and fired a stun shot. The creature roared in pain. Another guard fired again. The beast, cornered and terrified, lashed out. 2 guards fell. A third ran, screaming for backup. The footage ended. A heavy silence filled the chamber. Lady Vera folded her arms. It attacked in self-defense. General Kervax looked shaken, but still stubborn. "Even so, it is too powerful. If it ever escapes again, it could destroy an entire village." A council elder, old and wise, finally spoke. "We must speak with the human. He sees something we do not." Meanwhile, Elias sat inside a holding room. He had been separated from the Nevrax after the incident. The creature had cried when they pulled Elias away, a deep, mournful sound that echoed through the plaza. Soldiers were too afraid to approach it again, so they used electric barriers to guide it back into a stronger cage. Now Elias waited, tapping his foot. After almost an hour, 3 council elders entered the room. "Human," the lead elder said, "your actions today have caused great concern." Elias crossed his arms. "I didn't do anything wrong. You approached a dangerous creature, entered its cage without permission, and interfered with a legal execution. Because you were going to kill something that wasn't dangerous," Elias said. "It was scared, not violent." The elders exchanged glances. One of them asked, "Why did it trust you?" Elias shrugged. "Maybe because I didn't point a weapon at it." They stared at him. The logic was simple, embarrassingly simple. "We call it a Nevrax," the elder said. "It is considered one of the most dangerous species on our planet. Then you've never tried being kind to one, Elias replied calmly. The elders looked uncomfortable. Most aliens on Trivera rarely spoke to them so boldly. The eldest elder asked, "What do you believe we should do with the creature?" Elias took a deep breath. He knew his answer would shock them. "Let me take care of it." The three elders almost fell over. "What? Impossible. Absurd." Elias raised his hands. "Look, it trusts me. You saw it. You saw the way it acted. It needs someone who isn't afraid of it." The elders began to argue among themselves, but Elias continued. "You're scared of what it could do. I get that. But fear isn't a reason to kill something." The elders fell silent again. His words carried more weight than they expected. Back in the council chamber, more whispers spread. Some agreed with Elias. Others believed he was insane. The generals argued for execution. The scientists argued for study. The nobles argued about public safety. Finally, the Grand Elder raised his staff. "The human's actions have shown us a side of the creature we have never seen," he said. "But even so, the Nevrax is unpredictable. We cannot simply release it." General Kurvax smirked. He thought victory was his. But the Grand Elder continued. "Therefore, we must determine the truth. We will allow the human to interact with the creature again." Gasps filled the room. Lady Vera nodded slowly. "Yes. If the human can calm it twice, then the creature may not be the monster we believed." General Kurvax slammed his fist down again. "And if he fails?" The Grand Elder's voice grew cold. "Then the human will be proven wrong, and the execution will proceed." Elias did not know it yet, but the fate of the Nevrax now rested entirely on him. And soon, he would return to the cage, under the watch of the entire city. The next morning, the skies over Trivera were heavy with gray clouds. A storm was coming, but not the kind made of rain. This storm was made of fear, doubt, and tension that almost everyone in the city could feel. Elias stood outside the reinforced containment area where the Nevrax was now being kept. The new cage was massive, made of thick energy shields and metal beams. Guards lined the walls. Scientists observed from raised platforms. The crowd that gathered behind the barriers whispered nervously. Many believed Elias would die today. Many believed the creature would show its true nature. But Elias did not look afraid. His face was calm, serious, focused. He had made a promise to himself and to the creature that he wouldn't allow it to die. A council elder stepped toward him. "Human, you understand the risk? If the beast attacks, you cannot be saved." "I understand," Elias replied. "And you still wish to proceed?" "Yes." The elder sighed. "Very well. If you survive, the council will consider sparing its life." Elias nodded once. He stepped forward. The guards opened the energy gate. A cold blue light washed over his face as he entered. Inside the cage, the Nevrax was curled in the corner, its large body trembling. Its luminous blue eyes were half closed, as if it had been awake all night. It lifted its head when it heard the gate open. A low, sad sound rumbled from its throat. Elias walked slowly, making sure every step was visible, gentle. "Hey," he whispered, the same soft tone he used the first time. "I'm back." The creature's ears twitched. Elias saw dried blood on its leg. No one had treated it. The aliens didn't dare get close. He felt anger twist in his stomach, but he pushed it aside. Now was not the time. He crouched down a few meters away. The crowd outside held their breath. The guards tightened their grips on their weapons. The Nevrax stared at him, then slowly crawled forward, its movements cautious, unsure. "That's it," Elias whispered. "I won't hurt you." The creature stopped right in front of him. Its nose touched his shoulder gently, as if asking a question. Elias lifted his hand. "Can I?" he asked. The creature lowered its head. Elias touched the soft fur behind its ears. A peaceful sound rolled from the Nevrax, deep and warm, like a giant purr. Gasps erupted from the audience. One of the generals stood up in shock. "Impossible," a scientist whispered. "It's showing affection?" But Elias didn't hear them. He was focused only on the creature. He pulled a small food bar from his pocket. "I brought you something," he said. "Not fruit this time, but you'll like it." The Nevrak sniffed, then gently took the bar from his hand and ate it in 2 slow bites. Its eyes softened. It sat down beside him, its huge tail curling around Elias protectively. The crowd watched in stunned silence. No one had ever seen a Nevrax behave like this. Then everything went wrong. A sudden alarm blasted through the area. A siren so sharp that even the Nevrax flinched.
Boom.
A powerful shockwave hit the side of the facility. Metal groaned. Dust filled the air. Something had exploded outside. Guards scrambled. Breach on Sector 4. Unknown attackers. Protect the council. Panic spread everywhere. In the chaos, a stray guard stumbled and fired a stun shot by mistake. The bolt ricocheted off a metal beam and struck the Nevrax directly in the side. The creature roared in pain, a loud, wounded cry that shook the entire chamber. Its eyes flared with bright blue light. The crowd screamed. Guards aimed weapons. The general shouted, "It's attacking! Kill it!" Elias leapt in front of the creature. "Stop," he roared. But the guards didn't listen. 3 of them fired stun bolts. The Nevrak staggered, howling, but didn't strike back. It was trying to retreat, trying to escape the pain, but the guards chased it with their weapons raised. "Hold fire," the elder shouted, but his voice was drowned in chaos. A 4th guard tried to fire a lethal shot. The creature blinked in terror. Elias moved before thinking. He lunged forward and grabbed the guard's weapon, pushing the barrel to the floor. The shot hit the metal ground and sparked. "You're hitting a scared, injured animal," Elias shouted. The guards hesitated, but only for a moment. The general barked, "The creature is dangerous. Execute it." Several soldiers raised lethal weapons. The Nevrax whimpered, backing itself into a corner. Its eyes glowed not with rage, but with fear. Elias spread his arms wide and stood between the creature and the soldiers. "You'll have to kill me first," he said. The chamber fell silent. No one expected a human to say something so bold, so absolute. The Nevrax stared at him with wide, glowing eyes. Its trembling slowed. Elias could feel its warm breath behind him. General Kervax hissed, "Move, human." "No," Elias said. "You are protecting a monster." Elias shook his head.
No.
"I'm protecting someone who never had a chance." The turning point. The Grand Elder finally stepped forward, raising his staff. "Enough!" The command echoed like thunder. Guards froze. Weapons lowered, slowly. The Elder approached, staring at Elias with a mix of disbelief and admiration. "You would risk your life for this creature?" he asked. Elias nodded. "Yes." "And why?" Elias looked back at the trembling Nevrax. "Because it trusts me. And I won't betray that." The elder looked at the creature, then at the human, and then at the terrified crowd. He exhaled slowly. "Very well," he said. "The beast will not be killed today." The Nevrax let out a soft, relieved sound and gently pressed its head against Elias's back. And for the first time, the people of Trivera saw the creature not as a monster, but as something capable of love. The storm clouds above the city finally broke open later that evening. Rain fell hard on the metal roofs of Trivera, dripping in long, cold lines across the streets. But inside the healing shelter where the Nevrax was being kept, everything was quiet, too quiet. Elias sat on a small bench near the reinforced window, waiting patiently. His clothes were still dirty from the chaos earlier, his arms sore from holding off soldiers, and his mind exhausted. But he didn't care about any of that. His only worry was the giant creature lying on the padded floor. The Nevrax had been injured by the stun shots and was breathing heavily. Its side rose and fell unevenly. Every now and then it let out a low, pained sound. A healing technician stood at a safe distance. "Human, we cannot approach it to treat the wounds. If it panics, we won't survive." Elias nodded softly. "Then let me go in." The technician's eyes widened. "Go inside? Alone?" "Yes. You've already risked your life. once today. Elias gave a tired smile. And I'll do it again. The creature needs help. The technician wanted to argue, but she couldn't. Everyone had seen earlier how the creature trusted him. Finally, she nodded and opened the containment door. Elias stepped inside. Inside the healing room, the Nevrax lifted its head weakly when it heard his footsteps. Its glowing eyes flickered with a mix of fear and relief. "I'm here," Elias whispered. He moved slowly, never rushing, never making sudden motions. The creature sniffed the air, recognizing him. Its ears lowered gently. It let out a soft, rumbling sound. Elias knelt beside it. "You're hurt," he murmured. "Let me see." The creature flinched when he touched its side. Its muscles tensed like coiled rope. Elias immediately pulled his hand back. "It's okay," he said softly. "I won't touch the wound yet. Let's start with something simple." He reached into his bag and pulled out a small container. Inside was a thick, sweet-smelling paste, Trivern healing food. It wasn't exactly delicious by human standards, but it was rich in nutrients and easy to eat for sick or injured creatures. Elias scooped a bit onto his fingers and held his hand out. The Nevrax stared at the food. Its nostrils flared. It whimpered softly and lowered its head. "You're safe," Elias whispered. "You don't have to be afraid anymore." Slowly, painfully slowly, the creature lifted its heavy head and sniffed the food. Then, with a gentle motion, it opened its mouth and took the paste from Elias's fingers. Elias smiled with relief. "You're doing great." The Nevrax chewed the food softly. For the first time since the attack, its body relaxed a little. Its tail, which had been tightly curled, loosened on the floor. Elias scooped more and offered it again. The creature leaned in, trusting him completely. Outside the reinforced window, dozens of aliens watched with wide eyes. Soldiers, scientists, council members, even ordinary citizens, had gathered to witness the unbelievable sight. A monstrous creature, feared by the entire planet, eating gently from a human's hand. Healing the wounds. Once the Nevrax had eaten a little and calmed down, Elias slowly reached toward the wounded area on its side. The creature stiffened at first, but Elias kept his touch light and soft. "You're okay," he whispered. The Nevrax exhaled, a warm, heavy breath, and rested its head on the floor. Elias applied the healing gel the technicians had given him. The gel hissed softly as it contacted the wound, glowing faintly blue. The creature whimpered, but did not pull away. "You're being very brave," Elias said. For almost 30 minutes, he cleaned and treated all the wounds, the scorch marks from the stun shots, the bruises from being forced into the cage, and the long scratch on its leg from the forest attack days ago. Throughout the process, the Nevrax kept its eyes on Elias, full of trust, full of calm. Outside the window, even the soldiers lowered their weapons. Some of them looked ashamed. Others looked amazed. One scientist whispered, "This creature, it's not dangerous at all." Another replied, "No, it's just misunderstood." A bond deepens. When the treatment was finished, Elias sat back and wiped sweat from his forehead. "There. All done." The Nevrax made a low sound, almost like a grateful hum. Then, to the shock of everyone watching, it slowly lifted its head and pressed it gently against Elias's chest. Elias froze. Then he smiled and wrapped one arm around the creature's head. "All right," he whispered. "I missed you too." The creature's massive tail thumped once against the floor, softly, but with emotion. It was the first sign of happiness anyone had ever seen from it. Elias continued, petting its fur. "From now on, I'll take care of you. I promise." Rain continued to fall outside, tapping the metal roof in a steady rhythm. But for the first time that day, the shelter felt warm and peaceful. Outside the room, the council elders exchanged glances. "This human," one whispered. "He sees something we never could." Lady Vera nodded. "He sees a soul." General Kervax clenched his jaw, but said nothing. Even he couldn't deny the truth anymore. The Nevrax wasn't a monster, and the human wasn't reckless. Together, they were something the planet had never seen before. A bond stronger than fear. The next morning arrived quietly. Sunlight broke through the storm clouds and filled the healing shelter with soft gold light. The rain had washed the city clean, but no one felt more refreshed than the giant creature resting calmly beside Elias. The Nevrax, once feared by everyone, now lay on its side, breathing slow and steady. Its wounds were healing. Its eyes were no longer wild with fear, but gentle and alert. And every time Elias moved, those glowing blue eyes followed him. Elias sat cross-legged on the floor, mixing more healing food in a bowl. He hummed a soft tune, something from Earth, something simple. The creature listened, tilting its head like a curious child. The moment Elias lifted the bowl, the Nevrax perked up. "Hungry?" Elias asked with a smile. The giant tail thumped softly against the padded floor. "I'll take that as a yes." He scooped a small amount with a spoon and held it up. The Nevrax leaned forward, opened its mouth gently, and accepted the food. Bit by bit, spoon by spoon, Elias fed the creature, speaking softly the whole time. "You're doing better today. That's good. Your breathing sounds stronger. Your eyes look brighter too." The creature blinked slowly, its version of a relaxed smile. From behind the reinforced window, several aliens watched with fascination. Many had visited every morning just to see the impossible scene, an enormous, dangerous beast acting as gentle as a house pet. One alien child whispered, "Mama, is it really friendly?" Her mother hesitated, then nodded. With the human it seems so. Learning to trust. After feeding, Elias stood up and stretched. The Nevrax watched carefully. When he moved farther away, the creature's ears twitched nervously. Elias noticed. He paused. "You want me close, huh?" The creature shifted its weight, letting out a soft sound. Not a growl, not a warning, a worried hum. Elias stepped back to its side and gently stroked the fur behind its ears. "I'm not going anywhere. I'm just getting some water." This time, when he walked across the room, the creature stayed calm. Its eyes followed him, but its body stayed relaxed on the floor. Elias filled a metal bucket with cool water, then carried it back. The creature lifted its head and sniffed, then slowly lapped at the water. Eli didn't rush it. He sat beside the creature, leaning against its warm side. The Nevrax rested its massive head on his shoulder and closed its eyes. Outside the window, even the guards softened. One whispered, "It's bonding with him." Another replied, "Maybe we judged it too quickly." A small test. A scientist approached the observation window. She tapped the glass gently, her voice trembling with excitement. "Human, may I speak with you?" Elias turned his head. "Sure. We'd like to test something, only if the creature stays calm." The Nevrax lifted its head at the sound of the scientist's voice. Elias placed a reassuring hand on its neck. "It's okay," he whispered. "What kind of test?" Elias asked. "We want to see how the Nevrax reacts to another living being as long as you're beside it." Elias thought for a moment. "A peaceful animal?" "Yes," the scientist said. "Fine," Elias replied. "But if it gets scared, stop immediately." The scientist nodded eagerly. Moments later, two guards brought in a small creature, something like a furry alien rabbit with long ears and stubby legs. It trembled in the guard's hands. Elias placed his hand on the Nevrax's head. "Easy. This is a friend." The Nevrax sniffed the small animal. The tiny creature squeaked and froze. Elias held his breath. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the Nevrax did something no one expected. It nudged the small creature gently and let out a soft purr-like sound. The furry rabbit relaxed instantly and hopped around the giant beast's paw. Gasps filled the observation area. The scientist whispered, "This creature is gentle, highly intelligent, and not aggressive at all." General Kervax, who had been silent the whole time, clenched his jaw but spoke slowly. The human was right. A new confidence. After the test, Elias continued petting the Nevrax. The creature pressed closer to him, as if proud of itself. "You did great," Elias said. "You're proving everyone wrong." The Nevrax let out a rumble of happiness. For the first time, Elias felt something deeper forming, a true connection, stronger than instinct, stronger than fear. The creature wasn't just trusting him. It was beginning to care for him. The first step. Later that day, Elias stood up. All right, big guy. Let's try something new. The Nevrax lifted its head. Let's see if you can walk a little. The aliens behind the window tensed. The guards shifted nervously, but Elias remained calm. He tapped his thigh gently like calling a pet. Come. The creature hesitated. Its injured leg shook slightly. Slowly, Elias whispered. The Nevrax pushed itself up. Its legs trembled at first, but after a moment, it stood tall, much taller than Elias. The beast's shadow covered him entirely. The spectators watched in awe. It's letting him lead it. Is this real? Elias took a step backward. The Nevrax followed. Another step. It followed again, limping but determined. Elias's heart swelled. Good. Very good. The creature finally reached him and gently lowered its massive head, touching his chest with warmth and trust. The aliens watching were silent. Many of them felt their old fear melting away. Maybe the creature was not a monster after all. Maybe it had just been waiting for someone who could understand it. And maybe that someone was the human standing beside it. The chamber of elders was quiet, lit only by tall blue crystals that hummed with soft energy. Every leader of the valley had gathered that morning. Their long robes flowed like waves, and their eyes were filled with worry, fear, and disbelief. At the center of the room, on a raised stone platform, stood the human, Evan. And sitting calmly behind him, like a loyal animal waiting for its owner, was the same alien beast they had once labeled dangerous. Its glowing tail rested gently on the floor. Its head was lowered, and most shocking of all, its strange, luminous eyes stayed fixed on Evan with pure trust. Never in their history had such a creature behaved like this. The elders whispered to each other in their alien tongue, unable to understand what they were seeing. Evan stood tall, though his hands shook slightly. He wasn't used to being the center of attention. He wasn't a warrior, a leader, or a scholar. He was just a simple human who believed no living creature deserved to die for no reason. The High Elder, a tall figure with silver skin, raised her staff to silence the room. Human, she said, her voice echoing through the chamber. Explain what you have done. This creature was said to be uncontrollable. It killed our livestock. It frightened our children. It has destroyed our machines. And yet, it follows you like a gentle pet. Evan took a slow breath. I didn't do anything special, he said. I just treated it with kindness. Gasps filled the room. Kindness was not a method the elders understood. Their world was built on order and strength, not compassion. Evan continued, his voice steady now. You all saw the beast as dangerous because it was scared. It was alone. It didn't know this world or this place. But when someone shows a little patience, a little care, even the most frightened creature can change. The beast let out a soft, low sound, almost like a purr. Its tail curled around Evan's feet. The gesture made the elders lean back in disbelief. That noise, one elder whispered. It is supposed to make that sound only with family. Another elder stepped forward, squinting his eyes. Human, how did you feed it without losing your hand? Evan smiled slightly, slowly, carefully, and without fear. He placed a gentle hand on the beast's head. Its bright eyes closed peacefully. Every elder stepped back involuntarily. The High Elder slammed her staff down again. Impossible, she said. This creature tore apart 2 metal cages. It broke through our power shields. How can it bow before a human? Evan shook his head. Because you trapped it and treated it like a threat. You pushed it to fight. I didn't. Silence swept through the chamber. The High Elder studied Evan for a long time. She moved slowly around him, examining the creature like it was a puzzle she had never seen before. She tapped her staff lightly on the creature's tail. It didn't react. It didn't growl. It didn't lunge. It only rested its head more firmly against Evan's hand. This is, she whispered, unprecedented. One of the younger leaders stepped forward with trembling hands. High Elder, maybe we misjudged the creature. Maybe the human is right. Look at it. Look how calm it is. Another murmured, if he can control it, maybe it could be useful. Yet another said, or trained. Evan stiffened at their words. I'm not controlling it, he said firmly. It isn't a weapon. It isn't something to use. Then what is it? The High Elder asked. Evan looked down at the beast thoughtfully. A friend, he said softly. The word hit the room like a spark. Some elders scoffed. Others looked stunned. A few looked disturbed. A friend, the High Elder repeated, as if trying to taste the meaning. Evan nodded. Yes. A friend. It listens because it wants to. It trusts because it feels safe. And if you want this creature to stop being dangerous, then you have to stop treating it like a monster. The High Elder stared between Evan and the beast for a long, silent moment. Then she spoke. Approach. She gestured to her guards. 4 armored aliens stepped forward, weapons in hand. The beast rose to its feet instantly, muscles tensing, a low protective growl building in its throat. Evan placed his hand gently on its neck. It's okay, he whispered. I'm here. Instantly, the growl stopped. The Elder's eyes widened. The High Elder lowered her staff. Enough, she said. I have seen enough. She turned to the council. This creature is no longer to be killed. Shock erupted among the leaders. But High Elder, it is too dangerous. This breaks protocol. The High Elder raised her voice. Silence. The human has shown what none of us could. The creature can be peaceful. The creature can be taught. And most importantly, the creature can choose. Her eyes returned to Evan. And it has chosen him. Evan felt a strange warmth in his chest. Not pride. Not victory. Something deeper, something like purpose. The beast pressed against his side, rumbling with contentment. For the first time, the elders looked at the creature not with fear, but with wonder. What else were humans capable of? What else had they misunderstood? The High Elder bowed her head slightly. Human, she said quietly, you have done something remarkable. We will allow the creature to live under your care. Evan nodded with relief. Thank you. But as the chamber emptied and the elders whispered among themselves, one question remained in the air. Was this the beginning of peace? Or the start of something much greater? The Nevrax lay in the open meadow just outside the city, its massive body stretched lazily across the soft grass. The morning sun warmed its dark fur, and the breeze carried the scent of flowers and rain-soaked soil. For the first time, it was not confined by cages, shields, or soldiers. It was free and calm. Evan stood nearby, hands resting gently on the creature's side. It nuzzled him in return, low and content. He looked at it and smiled. It was amazing how far they had come. Only a few days ago, the entire planet had called this being a monster, a dangerous creature that needed to die. Now it was peaceful. The citizens of Trivera had gathered at a safe distance to witness the Nevrax in its natural state. At first, they had been hesitant, whispering anxiously to one another. But seeing the creature relaxed, eating from Evan's hand, and even playing gently with alien children brought gasps of disbelief and awe. Evan knelt down and scooped up a handful of soft berries. He offered them to the Nevrax. The creature sniffed the berries, then took them delicately from his hand, chewing slowly. A little girl in the crowd clutched her mother's hand and whispered, "It's not a monster, it's nice." Her mother nodded slowly. Yes, and it listens to the human. Evan looked over the gathering crowd. The elders, generals, and scientists all watched quietly. Even General Kervax, who had been so certain that the creature was dangerous, could only stare. You see, Evan said softly, it wasn't dangerous. Not really. It was afraid, hurt, alone. And when you treat something like a monster, it acts like one. But when you show kindness, trust, and patience, that can change. The eldest High Elder stepped forward. She studied the creature, and then looked at Evan. Human, you have done something that none of us believed possible. You have revealed the truth. The Nevrax is not a monster. It was only misunderstood. The crowd murmured, repeating her words. Misunderstood, misunderstood. Evan nodded.
Yes.
Fear and assumptions can make anyone or anything seem dangerous. But if you take the time to understand them, you find the truth. A small boy ran forward, holding out a piece of fruit. The Nevrak sniffed him, then gently accepted it. The child laughed, a pure sound full of joy. The adults looked on, their faces softening. Even General Kervax took a deep breath and muttered under his breath, "Perhaps we were wrong." The High Elder raised her staff and addressed the city. "Let this day mark a new beginning. The Nevraks shall live freely under the care of the human who understands it. And let this be a lesson to us all. Not all fear is justified, and not all danger is real. Sometimes it is only the story we tell ourselves." Evan reached down and stroked the Nevrax's massive head. It pressed against his chest affectionately, eyes half closed in trust. From that moment on, the Nevrax became a symbol across Trivera. No longer feared, it showed the citizens the power of compassion and understanding. Children played near it under Evan's watchful eye. Scholars studied it, not as a weapon, but as a creature with thoughts and emotions. Even soldiers learned that true strength came not only from weapons or power, but from patience and care. Evan stood and looked around. The crowd was smiling. The city had changed. And the creature, once labeled dangerous and violent, was now calm, happy, and free. He whispered to the Nevraks, "You've come a long way, friend, and we'll keep going together." The beast let out a soft, happy rumble in response, leaning close to Evan as if understanding every word. For the people of Trivera, the lesson was clear. The Nevrax was never a monster. Fear and misunderstanding had created the danger. And one human, brave, patient, and kind, had revealed the truth. From that day forward, humans and Nevraxes were no longer strangers. They were allies. They were friends. And the story of a human who tamed the dangerous beast with kindness spread across the galaxy, inspiring many to look beyond fear and see the heart within. Evan smiled. The world had changed, not through violence, not through force, but through understanding. And the Nevraks, once feared, now thrived, not as a monster, but as a living testament to the power of empathy.